Joining us today. My name is Tigress Osborne. I am NAAFA's Director of Community Outreach. And if you have made it here today, you probably already know that NAAFA is the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. We are a 50-year-old fat rights organization that is doing the work of fat visibility, fighting for fat rights in a variety of ways, generally trying to make the world better for fat people. As part of our mission, we provide educational outreach and resource connection between members of the fat community or people who are new to finding fat community. And because of course not everyone who is fat has found community in fatness, but folks who are participating in NAAFA have. And so part of our outreach is that we offer a webinar series which is free and available to the public, and we feature a variety of fat activists and allies of all sizes who are doing educational work, activist work, any kind of advocacy work that helps make, like I said, helps make the world better for fat people. And so today, I am really pleased to be able to introduce you to one of our longtime supporters and one of our favorite plus-size fashion models, Saucye West. Please make sure that you have your camera off and that your microphone is muted. We can mute you, but you can unmute yourself, and please don't do that because we don't want to record you in things you don't want to be recorded in. We will have some time at the end of this session for Q&A, and we will do that through the chat. It's a little easier for us to manage taking the questions that way through free conference call. So with those notes out of the way, I'd like to thank all of you who've been patiently waiting for us to get started and go ahead and jump right in with a little bit of getting to know Saucye. We know Saucye as a plus-size model and activist. I have known Saucye since the beginning of her modeling career, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about that, our connection that way. But Saucye has participated in numerous NAAFA fashion shows, and at our 50th anniversary conference last year, she led a workshop for our conference participants, and so she's got a long history with NAAFA, but we're going to go back a little farther so that those of you who are not NAAFA members or those of you who are just getting to know Saucye for the first time can learn a little bit more about her. Saucye West, welcome to the NAAFA webinar. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So sorry, guys. My dad was blowing me up, and he said he was cooking on Saturday, and I'm just like, Daddy, you couldn't wait to tell me this? Like, he kept calling. So I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm present.
Good. We're happy to have you. And I will just point out for those of you who are used to seeing Saucye in fuller makeup than this, as one of the glamour queens of the size acceptance movement, we've asked Saucye to come on a little bit dressed down in her face because she's actually going to demonstrate some makeup techniques for us later in the webinar. So, so we are back with Saucye West, one of our favorite plus-size models and activists, and we're just getting to know Saucye. Saucye, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in modeling?
So I got started in modeling because you chose me, you handpicked me to be a full-figure entertainment promotional model back in 2010. So that's where I got my start from. With that opportunity, I began doing runway in Bay Area fashion shows, working with local designers, and, you know, pretty much thinking that, you know, oh, you know, plus modeling is becoming this really popular thing. You know, I know I've seen models like, you know, like Tess Holiday and, you know, I was just like, well, you know, I'm going to come in, you know, and tear up the shop then. But I quickly learned that, you know, being an extended plus size model, because I am now a not size 28-30, that the opportunities were not as much as I thought they were going to be when I first got started, basically. So because of that, that is when I started to basically challenge designers to use me more so I can be more visible, so I can make more of a statement. And, you know, that's pretty much, you know, how I started doing what I was doing, just, you know, wanting to change the standard of beauty from what was being seen at that time.
So let's go backwards a little bit. For folks who don't know you, first of all, tell them where you are, because you mentioned modeling for local designers, but I don't know if everybody knows where you are.
I am in the Bay Area. I actually live in Vallejo, which is North Bay.
Northern California.
Worked with
when you, so Saucye mentioned Full Figure Entertainment, which is a nightclub event I used to host in the Oakland area, Oakland and San Francisco area. And why do you think that you, as somebody who was just attending the nightclub, got pulled out to be a model for the club? What was it about you that made it seem like you should be a spokesperson for a fat positive event?
What I hope that you say to me was confidence. Before I knew what plus size nightlife was, I was just living my normal life as a confident plus size woman. I didn't know that there was a whole community out there that, you know, that did what you were doing at that time. And when I found it, I was just hoping that I could just do as much as I could when I stumbled upon it, you know, and I was just like, I just want to be engulfed in this. I want to be in this. So hopefully you see my confidence. Hopefully you see my eagerness. And, you know, hopefully those were the reasons why, you know, you picked me for that.
So what was your fat girl life like before you stepped into a role as a public fat girl?
My fat girl life was, to me, something that was very normal. I started my journey of being fat and proud when I was 14. So by the time I was 28, 29, when I came into the community, to me, it was just like second nature to me. I didn't, you know, people around me, people in my circles, they already knew what was going on with me. They were like, you know, Saucye is confident. You know, so it was just second nature to me to be confident. Being or using the word fat came later because, you know, I never thought of the word as something that could be empowering until I came into activism culture. So once, you know, I heard you say the word, once I was, you know, went to my first, like, No Loose conference, like, that is what was just like, man, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm about this life. You know, I've been about this life, but I'm really about this life. So I think that, you know, me already being a confident plus size woman, it just felt so much better when I became a confident fat woman.
And so what is it like in the world of plus size modeling? How do people talk about fat, and how do you fit in with that, and how are you different than that?
In the world of plus size modeling, the majority of plus size models do not delve into fat politics. So because of that, the word fat does not get used a lot in plus size modeling. And plus size modeling starts at a size 8 when you're dealing with high fashion. So there will be times when I would be around plus size designers, I'm putting it in quotes, that claim that they, you know, cater to plus size bodies. But since the politics isn't there, I found myself a lot of the time, you know, being forced to wear Spanx, you know, being, you know, getting a lot of negative body talk behind the scenes, backstage at fashion shows, you know, from other plus size women who, you know, yes, they were plus size, but they had not accepted, you know, their fatness. So when I came behind the scenes and was like, you know, being me, you know, out there with my fatness, it was very alarming to a lot of people, and it turned a lot of people off, to where a lot of designers just, you know, they didn't want to use me because I didn't want to conform to the socially acceptable plus size model. And, you know, even nowadays, being a model, when you try to combat, you know, fat phobia in fashion, there are a lot of safe plus size models out there. They don't want to talk about fatness and fat politics. They just stay underneath the radar. They want to continue to get their sponsorships. And me, I was just like, you know, I don't care about that. I'm here to bridge the gap between fatness and fashion, activism and fashion, and, you know, and that's the difference between myself and other plus size models.
So how did you find your audience? You have, Saucye has about 31,000 followers on Instagram, and about 16,000 followers on TikTok, which we're going to talk a little bit more about TikTok later. And I don't know how many thousands of followers you have on Facebook, but I know that, you know, media that you are in, films that you've been, you know, clips that you've been in, news reports that you've been in, fashion campaigns that you've been in, have had millions of views collectively in the years that you've been modeling. How did you find the people who did want to see a visibly plus model? And when we say audience, when we say visibly plus, in the plus size fashion world, that's often a term that is used to talk about the difference between what Saucye was saying about those folks on the smaller end of the plus size spectrum who, if they were just walking down the street, you may not identify them as fat, versus models who would always be identified that way by anyone. How did you find those? Like, how did you connect with those people who were just thirsty to see more visibly plus fashion models? How did they find you?
I had to leave the box of being in the Bay Area. The first person that gave me an opportunity on a larger scale as a model was Jessica of Scorch Magazine, and that was my first paid modeling job that I took in LA that was on more of a national scale of, like, you know, being visible. After I was published in that magazine, I seen a lot of things change. I seen the paradigm shift. I seen a lot of people saying, wow, she looks just like me. Her body looks just like mine. And she is loud and proud about it. And, you know, a lot of, you know, it can go both ways. You know, there are a lot of people that were like, oh my God, like, I look like her, but I could never do that. And there were some people like, where you get that from? I'm going to do that too. I don't know if I can cuss, but I was, but I don't know where she got it from, but I want that too. You know, like, let me get that. So, you know, working with her, and then of course, you know, just kind of like changing how I did things on Instagram. I began to use my Instagram as basically my optic resume. So, you know, like, if people were to ever come and be like, you know, if I showed up in your algorithm, they would be like, whoa, you know, like, who is that? Like when I first started doing this, like, there was not another 400-pound dark-skinned woman doing this that I didn't see anybody else doing it. So it's kind of like, you know, when it comes to branding, you have to be either the first at something or be the best at something. And from what I knew, I was the first at it. And for what I wanted to be the best at it. So it became something that you know, I like studied, and I wanted to be the best. I wanted to give you the best content. I wanted to, you know, so I started learning how to, you know, do my makeup and learning how to do all these things so I could be the best. So I think that, again, like the same eagerness and confidence that I came to you with, I think that other brands seen that same eagerness and confidence and was like, man, we wanna mess with her, you know, like you know. So I think that was how things kind of just started, like, and then on top of that, people stopped being as scared of hearing about that politics and fashion. Like, I think that brands began to appreciate the fact that I was saying, you know, go check out so and so. You know, they go up to a size whatever. You know, you can get this fly swimsuit from Bertha Pearl. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that, you know, people started saying how, you know, like there are people out there that this is a market that we need to tap into. Let's expound on that, and then at that point, I think people just started, you know, requesting this more from brands. Not saying that I catapulted that, but it started becoming something that I think a lot of people doing after a while, like just saying like, this is what we want.
So when you say, can you still hear me with the microphone?
Mm-hmm.
Still so good. When you say that at the time you thought you were the first, do you know something different now? Like, are there other people who were doing it in other places that you just didn't know about and that y'all found each other? Do you support each other? Is there like a sisterhood of supersize models? Or a siblinghood of supersize models?
From what I know now, I mean, even then, it was there were women of color plus size models, but they weren't as big as me. You know, like they still had like very socially acceptable body types, hourglass figures, and flat stomachs. So no, not even till this day, no, I don't know anyone else who looked like me that was doing what I was doing at that time. Now, there's a whole bunch of, you know, amazing models out there that I love and that who are surpassing me in numbers, and I'm just like, yes, y'all do that. You know, I'm getting old, so I'm just like, baton. You know, so
who are mention a couple of your favorites. Mention a couple of folks that you think other people who are listening should be checking out, that are the ones that you want to see everybody pass batons to.
Man, Ashley Tribble, Ashley Nicole Tribble. She's Ashley Chubby Bunny on Instagram. She is badass. Like when you talking about, you know, fatness and politics, she don't play. You know, and she looks amazing. Astra Marie, she goes for Funky Chunky on Instagram. Her aesthetic is so dope, and she's young, and she's just hungry, and you know, and she is like, you know, she just wants to just do this so bad, and I just love that about her. I love that she's like so eager and just like, you know, and is just out there, and she's stunning. Like stunning on print. Like I wish when I started print modeling, I could have been that stunning in front of the camera, just effortlessly like that. And another one, her name is Tiffany. She goes by Tifaria Grande on Instagram, and she's just the cutest little button ever. Like she is another one that, you know, she gets on camera, you're just like, why are you so cute? Like it's like, so it's like these girls who are younger than me are, you know, are killing it, and they're you know, just not ashamed to go in front of a camera with their underwear on and just be like, you know, and that's what I love about them. They're not afraid, and my goal now is to just make sure that people just aren't afraid anymore. So, you know, I let the younger ones stunt. While I just be like, y'all go ahead and do that. Don't be afraid.
Well, that goal of wanting to help people feel less afraid it actually seems like a good transition to talk about your Fat and Free campaign. Can you talk a little bit about what made you start that campaign, and how you have seen, for those of you who don't know, Saucye runs a campaign called Fat and Free, where people use that hashtag to express themselves visually through social media, primarily on Instagram, but in other places. What made you start that? What was the response to it? How are people using it now?
So I was bored one day and just wanted to create some content at home. And I was looking through the pictures, and I remember I was on my bed, and I was just I just had on like a bra and panties. And, you know, this wasn't the first time that I was going to be in front of a camera in bra and panties. It was just like I was questioning myself. And I'm a very, very confident woman. Like, I'm ironclad, like 100 grand. But for some reason, I was like, should I post this? And then, you know, I'm a Gemini, so my other side was like, bitch, yes. Like, so I was like, I'm free to do whatever the hell I want to do with my body. I'm free. I'm fat and free. So when I posted the picture, I used that hashtag, and, you know, that picture was, I think, one of my first pictures to get over 1,000 likes on Instagram. And I was like, you know, I think I should do something with this. I think we should, in my brain, you know, like, So I remember, you know, hollering at you, and I was like, I think I want to do a campaign because, you know, I wanted to solidify myself as an activist. You know, I could say I'm an activist all day long, you know, but what was I doing besides, you know, looking pretty in pictures to where people were like, yeah, like, you know, I want Saucye, you know, to tell me about, you know, fatness and activism culture and all that other stuff. I wanted to do something to solidify me. So there came the Fat and Free campaign. You were the producer of the first photo shoot that we did, and it was more like, instead of a New Year's resolution, because we always get New Year's resolutions, that's all we see, you know, from people. I want to lose weight, I want to get healthy, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, let's make a resolution to just be fat and free in 2017. Let's make every day of this year a year where we are just embracing our freedom and just celebrating fat liberation, pure, just unadulterated, just this is who we are. We're not afraid. Let me, you know, spam your timeline with this fatness. So basically that's what I wanted. That was the vision. And so throughout the campaign, I did photo shoots. I did a few events, you know, with, you know, local folks, and just tied in the community as much as I could with these photo shoots, and, you know, and just blasted it on social media. My goal was the hashtag to be used, what was it, 10,000 times? I think it was 10,000.
I think that was your first goal. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that was my first goal. I was like, I just want 10,000 people to use this hashtag throughout the year, and I was so close at the end. I was so close, but what came out of it was this, like, if you look up the hashtag Fat and Free now, I think we're over, like, what, 35,000.
I was about to look while you're talking. I looked at some of your other numbers, but not that one.
That hashtag has been used over 35,000 times, if I'm not mistaken. And
43.2 thousand posts under the hashtag Fat and Free.
Well, damn. All right. So if you look under the hashtag Fat and Free, you can now see this beautiful mosaic of fatness and inspiration, and, you know, and it's just really beautiful. And I'm just like, you know, I'm proud that, you know, I like seeing it through till the end. You know, I am my own biggest critic, and I will sit up here and be like, I want to do this, and you know, I'm always the one with like these big dreams, but they're so big sometimes that I discourage myself from doing it. But I think that me seeing it all the way through to the end, I can look at it and be like, I did that. She did that. So it's
you know what? I think an interesting thing to note about your hashtag is that it still is very much firmly in the hands of fat women and femmes who originally followed it, whereas there are other, you know, fat positive hashtags that have been co-opted by everything from, you know, fat dating sites to weight loss sites that have nothing to do with what the actual message is. But so far, yours has still stayed pretty pure, and at least on a broad spectrum has stayed pretty trolls free. Can you tell us a little bit about what troll life is like for you as a public fat person? And while Saucye answers that, folks, for those of you who are listening live, if you have questions that you want to ask Saucye, she's going to start doing an eye makeup demo in just a moment, and I can read her some of your questions from the chat while she's not able to look at that. So if you have questions that you want to ask Saucye, please go ahead and start entering those in the chat box. And while folks do that, Saucye, if you want to get ready for your eyes, and then also while y'all are doing those things, tell me a little bit about what troll life has been like for you as a public fat girl.
So when it comes to the trolls, on my social media accounts, I try to keep it at a minimum. Not saying, I mean, like, if I see something, I'll delete it. And I don't delete it because it affects me, because, you know, I don't care. But again, people use my page as inspiration, and I don't want them to come on my page and leave a picture and see someone talking crap. You know, I want them to, you know, just get the overflow of confidence and love and inspiration. So Instagram, I have that pretty tame. Now TikTok is a whole different ball game. What both platforms do have are filters, so I can't put certain things in there to where if someone tries to make a comment, then it just won't show up on my feed. Again, I'm trying to protect what I do from people saying negative things, so that people just continue to get inspired instead of being discouraged. Because
we do the same thing. We do the same thing as a NAAFA board on the platforms that allow us to block comments proactively. We block comments proactively. On the ones that don't, we remove negative comments under almost all circumstances for exactly the reason that you said, that people didn't come here for this. So it's not that we're not thick-skinned enough to take it. We've been taking it, and our skin is plenty thick. But you know, but we don't want people who are more fledgling in that feeling to be subjected to that all the time.
Yep. So when it comes to the trolls, I don't care about them people. Like, I mean, you know, people often question, you know, is Saucye really that confident? Like, she can't possibly be that confident. Like, I get questioned about that a lot, and I'm just like, y'all, like, you know, when you have been through as much as I have to be here and, like, come from, you know, eating disorder, come from, you know, all these other things that I went through in my life, and you know, I'm here now. Like, no one can break that. Like, I earned that. She did that. You know, like, and so a troll, a shamer, I don't care. Like, I can look in the mirror every day, and I'm okay with myself. So I'm trying to get everybody else like that. So that's my goal in my life. That's what I feel like. You know, we all are here for a purpose. We all have gifts and talents, and I think that I was brought here to change the world, and as far as helping people become more confident and showing people that confidence is something that you're born with. And I truly, truly believe that. A lot of people don't understand or believe that, but my goal is to show you that, you know, the only reason why you're not confident is because somebody else told you something was wrong with you. So if they didn't tell you that, then what would you think? Nothing. So there you go.
Okay, so we are going to transition to, I see in the chat that some of you are not seeing Saucye. She's going to start doing makeup. So we're going to figure that out before she starts doing makeup. So pardon us if you hear silence for a minute. I'm going to mute myself again. Saucye, when you see me give a thumbs up, will you just start saying something so we can see if your microphone catches and it puts the camera view back on you?
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question from the chat that maybe you can think about while we're trying to figure out the tech. And the question is, what are your thoughts on plus-sizing websites like Woo Plus and BBW Cupid? Would you advise for fellow fat women to use or avoid these services?
You can see me? All right, y'all can see me now?
Yes.
See me?
All right. So if those of you who are there want to try any other questions in the chat, I'm happy to ask them on your behalf because we clearly don't need to add any other microphones unmuted to this with all the troubles we're already having. I'll be happy to ask Saucye your questions while she does some eyes. And Saucye, you just interrupt me if there are things you want to tell them about what you're doing. So we asked Saucye to focus specifically on eyes because we know that at this time many of you are, those of you who are interested in makeup or those of you who are interested in looking at other people in glamorous makeup are very interested in eyes because we are covering parts of our faces when we are going out into the world. So we thought we would concentrate on the parts that you can all see when you're out and about.
So I'm basically just going to be putting some concealer on my eyelids just so I can give my eyes a nice canvas so that the colors that I'm going to use can pop and all that good stuff.
Saucye, how did you get into makeup?
So, and some more, lovely fashion fat phobia. When I was doing runway shows, and for those of you who don't know, haven't been in a fashion show, you have a call time, and when you get there, the call time is specifically so that everyone can have enough time to do your hair and makeup done. So I, trying to be as professional as I can, I always showed up on time, and I would wait and wait and wait and wait and never get my makeup done at the fashion shows. I have a belief it's because I was sometimes the only biggest, baddest model that was there, and they was just trying to be a hater. So I said to myself, I don't need these people. I can learn how to do my own makeup. So at that point, I began to go on YouTube, and there were women of color makeup artists. The main one that I subscribed to at that time was Jackie Ina. And she, on the other spectrum of size, you know, she's a thin woman of color, but she was an activist in the sense of she called out makeup companies for not making foundation shades and complexion products that were dark enough for the darkest dark of the, you know, black women. So she would do reviews on these things, and she would give technique about how to put on makeup and how to make colors show up on dark skin, and you know, what makeup brushes to buy. So that is how I got into, or, you know, just perfected my craft. And when you learn how to do makeup, it is, you know, sometimes you do good and sometimes you don't, you know, it's a toss-up. But I just kept practicing over the years, and, you know, most of the time now when I do fashion shows, I do my own makeup, just because, you know, a lot of times makeup artists are not women of color, and they don't know how to do black women's faces, you know. I have been, you know, I have put my hands, you know, I put my face in the hands of a lot of makeup artists who I ended up looking gray, you know, and just not right. They didn't color match me right, you know. It was just a lot. So I just said, I can do this myself. So that's how I started doing makeup.
And we have a question from the chat. Do you have brands that you recommend? Are there ones that you just love?
As far as brands, I definitely try to stick to drugstore, just because, like Tiger said, I'm a single mother and I'm not spending a lot of money on makeup. So a lot of the time I use like Maybelline, L'Oreal. Those are like my mainstays when it comes to makeup and foundation and stuff like that. When it comes to like eyeshadow palettes, Morphe is super affordable. Like, you know, like this is the Jaclyn Hill palette from Morphe. I've had it for like 2 years now, and, you know, their eyeshadows have good color payoff, you know, highly pigmented, and so Morphe is the e-commerce like drugstore, like, so you can get a makeup palette for like between 16 and 18 bucks depending on. So yeah, if I'm doing eyeshadows, I mainly go to Morphe. If I recommend a high-end brand, NARS, I use NARS if I'm going high-end. And what else do I have over here? I have a lot of drugstore. Like, I have a lot of drugstores. Mainly Maybelline for foundation. I also use foundations from NYX, which is also an affordable makeup brand as well.
What if someone sent you $100 right now, specifically to purchase something for your Glamour routine, what would you purchase?
Skincare. I'm a skincare junkie, and I think it's because I'm getting older that if your skin isn't right under the makeup, it's not going to look right when the makeup is on, period. So I would definitely splurge on my skincare and then just buy drugstore makeup. Because your skin has got to look good. Once you take the makeup off, you know, your skin has to look good.
How much money I got?
Okay, girlfriend.
I got some dollars.
So if you, you know, I noticed, Saucye, that in some of your biographical information online, you cite yourself as an activist first, not as a model first, even though that is, you are widely known for your glamorous looks and for representing supersized bodies in, you know, on the runway and in fashion. What do you ever get any pushback in the activist community? Like, why are you spending, if you're serious about activism, why are you spending all this time and money on makeup?
I think that I don't think a lot of activists give me a lot of pushback, just because that's the community that embraced me before the modeling community did. You know, like, while I was trying to become a model, I was, attending, NAAFA conference, No Loose conference. And every time I went in there, it was never a moment where anyone ever treated me bad. And if I were to stop modeling today, I know that my home is with the activist community. I don't have to worry about, I don't have to walk another runway ever because I have support from my activist community. I don't have to walk for anyone else but Bertha, if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care.
Okay, I'm guessing based on who's in the chat that these folks know who Bertha is, but elaborate on who Bertha is and why you said that.
Bertha Pearl is the owner, creator, designer of Size Queen Clothing, and she is now currently based in the Bay Area, and she is, such an amazing person, such an amazing supporter, and she never, like, I could come to Bertha and be like, Bertha, I need a see-through whatever, because that's my favorite color is see-through. And so I can come to Bertha and be like, I need, this, and Bertha will be like, okay, and make it. It's never a question, and Bertha is so good at her craft that she doesn't even need to measure me. Like, that's how good Bertha is. If anyone has anything that's made by Bertha, I know you guys do, you know that Bertha is on point with it. Like, it's never a question. So Bertha's the best.
And if you're interested in seeing more from Bertha and Saucye together, one of our early NAAFA webinars a few years ago was Bertha and Saucye talking about plus size fashion, and you can find that on the NAAFA website under the webinars. If you just scroll back to that webinar, there'll be a link to the video there, I believe. So what's going on with these eyes?
All right, so right now I'm just putting on, like, some really dark, like, chocolatey colors. I tend to, most of the time, go for a smoky eye, just because when you wear smoky eyes, it, like, makes your eye color pop out a little bit more, and I love having a dramatic moment. That's what I'm about in my life is, drama. So I'm just adding some dark brown. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. I know my camera is a little bit far from everyone, but I'm just adding some darkness to the outer V of my eye, and I'm kind of winging it out because mother loves the wings. So I'm just preparing my eye for the wings right now. And I put a little bit of loose powder right on the highest points of my cheeks so that any of my eyeshadow fallout can land there and not mess up my beautifully beat face that I did before I got on camera. So just gonna
okay, so tell the non-makeup people what it means to have a beautifully beat face.
So when I started, I just was kind of bare, and that was my base. So meaning I have on foundation, I have on bronzer, I have highlight and blush on, and finishing powder, and I have like my eyebrows and stuff done already. So my complexion products are already on. It's beat, I slay this. So now I'm going to give you guys this eye look to bring it all together. After it's done, it's gonna all come together and it's gonna make sense. I'm not gonna just look like, regular schmegular Saucye.
And the term beat, and the term beat comes from the glamour of queer Black community.
Yes.
And the way that they have been vanguard in fashion and glamour in the same way that Slay does come out of that community.
Yeah.
So So when Saucye says she's going to beat her face, I mean, she's going to try to achieve perfection with her makeup. And you mentioned, Saucye, that you cannot look amazing in makeup if your skin is not right underneath. We have a question from the chat about your skincare regimen. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah. So when I was, when you're younger, you don't really pay attention to what you're doing. You're just washing your face and that's it. But when you get older, the skin starts to lose elasticity, and it could get dry, it can get whatever, you can start getting fine lines and wrinkles. Again, those things are beautiful, it's part of aging, but you still want to try to preserve the quality of your skin. You can have all the wrinkles and things, but you want to make sure that your skin remains supple and healthy and luminous. So my skincare routine has changed drastically within the past few years. I have started to dive down on products that have fragrance in it, because fragrance is just not good for your skin overall. You can develop things like seborrheic dermatitis, and dryness, and which can cause make the fine lines just fast forward more. So I just make sure I steer away from fragrance in my products, and I also begin to tone more. So I have 3 cleansing steps that I do, especially when I'm wearing makeup. So when I'm wearing makeup, I do a pre-cleanse, which is most likely like an oil-based cleanser or like a Pond's cold cream. I do a regular cleanse, like a clarifying cleanse, to make sure that all of the stuff is gone. And then I do like a mild exfoliator. I believe in exfoliators more than I do actual face scrubs, because when you don't want to be so abrasive with the skin, especially, as you get older, you don't want to put, sugar scrubs on your face. It's too abrasive, because, again, you can cause infections in your skin. It can cause breakouts. So in between those steps of cleansing, I tone in between, because, when you tone your skin, it brings the pH balance back to your skin. So toning in between each step is like liquid gold. So using like a hydrating toner, you can use like a rose water toner, or people use witch hazel. Try to stay away from witch hazel because it's an astringent. It'll dry your skin out. So you want to put in moisture. Another key thing that everyone should use in their skincare routines is called hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid. It's like, if you're not doing anything else, you need to be cleansing, you need to be doing hyaluronic acid, and you need to be moisturizing. And the most important thing is sunscreen. Even if you just cleanse your face and put sunscreen on. Sunscreen is the anti-ager. So don't subscribe to products that say anti-aging. Pass that up and get you a really good sunscreen. Because it doesn't matter what color you are. The sun ages you. So sunscreen, y'all asses off, please, for me. If you're not anything else you haven't learned today from skincare or beauty, make sure that you got your sunscreen.
So so I know that some of you may need to go. We're past what our announced cutoff time was. I will stay as long as Darlene can stay with since she's recording on her end. Saucye, if folks need to go, tell them where they can find you online, and especially if there are places where they can ask you these kinds of questions directly.
You can all the time find me on Instagram. That's like my main spot. So you can also shoot me an email, saucywest@gmail.com, and I can answer questions from there as well. I often go on Instagram Live. So like I said, Instagram is the place where I give you all of, you know, the good news, basically. You know, if I have a new product that I'm trying out, you know, if I go live often and do get ready with me makeup videos. I'm also going to try to start doing more YouTube because I've gotten a lot of requests for YouTube as well. YouTube just takes a lot of time and editing and, you know, but, you know, we're in quarantine. We have nothing else to do, right? But most of the time I am on Instagram, so you can hit me up on Instagram and just say, oh, you know, when are you going to do another, you know, makeup video, or when you're going to go live, or, you know, if you have just a question in general, or if you need some kind of inspiration, or if you need somebody to tell you you are the shit, you know, I'm here for you. So I'm going, since we're behind, I'm going to wrap it up with the face. I'm just going to put on a pop of gold. You can't go wrong with that.
So while you finish your face, what would you say to people who feel like, why of all things in the middle of a global pandemic, of all the things that NAAFA could be having somebody talk about, do they have somebody talking about glamour and makeup? Why?
Since the pandemic started, I've seen so much about mental health. I've seen so many women and people in general. They're having to deal with their eating disorders. They're having to deal with their anxiety. They're having to deal with whatever. Me, myself, I'm dealing with grief. I lost my mother last July. And on top of me dealing with a pandemic and homeschooling my daughter, I have to deal with my anxiety and sadness because of grief. And I feel like focusing on just a little bit of time on yourself is important, no matter what it is. So you don't have to sit at home and beat your face every day. You know, you could take some time out and do a sheet mask. Beauty is important because beauty, you know, for me, it helps with my anxiety. So if I can pass anything off to anyone, you know, just do something for yourself. It can be anything. I mean, for me, it's makeup. It's, you know, it's beauty and makeup. That's what makes me feel better. When I'm sitting here and I have all of my crap around me and I have my New Jack playing on my radio and I'm doing my makeup, that makes me feel good. Yes, when I go outside, I have to put a mask on and shit's crazy in the world, but I can sit here in my space and this makes me feel good. This is my safe place right here. And so this could be your safe place. You know, you could say, you know what, I want to try something new. Let me go online and buy some makeup, and, you know, and, or whatever the situation is. You know, you have to find what makes you feel good at this time because, you know, we're it's so uncertain right now. But on top of everything that we're dealing with, we don't, like, you can look good. So my little vain advice. It's vanity, but it's all good.
And you're getting some agreement inside the chat that it's definitely something that makes us feel better. I think for some folks, that is like you said, a form of self-care or a hobby, or, you know, however people want to look at it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's not it's not a requirement, and we appreciate your willingness to come on. You know, a lot of folks who are known for their beauty and glamour, and especially their makeup, would not have joined us without makeup on in the first place, because that's not a thing they do. So we appreciate that from you.
Anytime. Tigers join me on, I like to do Zoom sometimes, and I get on my Zoom, and so if anyone also wants to join me on my Zoom, I can, we can all get together and play with makeup together, and you guys can ask me questions, and we could just talk, or, so that's another avenue that you guys can have.
And Saucye shares information about those Zoom sessions on her Facebook page and her Instagram. So if you're following her in one of those places, you will see the next time. It's usually Sunday mornings right now, right?
Yeah.
So
Sundays at noon.
Sundays at noon Pacific time. So you can keep an eye out for that if it's something that you'd like to do more of with Saucye as a beginner or as an experienced person who wants to just do it in in community, to have that space of connection.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like the greatest eye look, but
with the multitasking, you're not usually being interviewed while you do your face. I've been with you while you do your face. You're not usually being interviewed.
Yeah, but it was interesting. It's giving me practice for if I ever decide to do YouTube. So
yeah. So you got some eyeshadow from Saucye. Now normally you would top off the eyeshadow with eyelashes.
Eyelashes, and I do have them. So if anyone wants to get a quick eyelash lesson, I'm down. Let me know.
Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you really want to say to people? To the folks that are here, or to the folks that may watch some version of this later, some clips from this later?
I mean, I think that what I always want people to know is that I just don't want people to be afraid of who they are and their fatness. Like, we have so many people who are like, in the body positivity community, and all bodies are beautiful. They always talk about all bodies, but understand this. I root for everybody fat first. So I need everyone fat to not be afraid of anything. And I know that's very vague and very vast, but if you want to, after everything is over with, and you want to go to the beach, go to the beach. Put your swimsuit on. Go out to that restaurant. Do what you want to do. And do it like it's your last day. Every day should be like that. If thin people have the privilege to live their lives and do what they want to do every day, then we should be able to do the exact same thing with fat bodies. So if anything you take away, just don't be afraid and love yourself. And I know that's corny as hell, but for some people that's hard as hell. And like I said, if anyone came to the NAAFA conference in Vegas, I said, you were born perfect. We are all born perfect. And right now, at this moment, you look in the mirror and you're perfect, exactly the way you are. So that's my word. That's the gospel for today, brought to you by Saucye. Okay, so you're gonna put your eyelashes on. We're gonna hang with you while you put your eyelashes on, or are you finished with this look for today? I'm going to throw on my lashes. I have to put some more highlighter on because I like to be seen from space with my highlights.
What do you say in response to people who feel like highlighting and contouring is a form of trying to make your face look thinner?
I mean, for me, I feel like makeup is art, and I feel like society makes everything into some type of fat-phobic crap, and we can't even play in makeup without people thinking that we're trying to change ourselves. And the point of contouring your face, the point of contouring and bronzing your face is to bring back the dimension that was in it. A lot of people, people in the drag community contour because they're trying to create a different face, which is fine. But if you're doing everyday makeup and you put on foundation all over your face isn't naturally one color. If I take off my makeup, my face, I have hyperpigmentation here, I have darkness here naturally. Naturally, things are darker and things are lighter. So what you're doing is when you put on foundation, you're making your whole face one color. What you're doing when you highlight and contour and bronze is you're bringing back dimension. You're bringing back warmth. You're bringing back the darkness that was there. You're bringing it back in and just making it a part of your makeup look. So
it's not about. So it's not about keeping your face from looking fat. It's about keeping your face from looking flat. It's about giving shape to your face.
Because like I said, you take your makeup off and you're not one color. And I know specifically, like me being darker skin, I'm not one color at all. Like, I have hyperpigmentation on my neck. I have hyperpigmentation in my eyes, around my mouth, and you have to bring back certain parts of that in order to so you can have dimension. It's just bringing back your dimension. So people are crazy. Like you can't even make makeup fun anymore. It's like they always have to say that you're trying to change yourself. We're not trying to change ourselves. So for putting on my eyebrows, I always put on mascara first, and it just makes, for me, it just makes my eyelashes stay on longer. So I just do a nice little coat of mascara. You put on a little bit of glue on your lashes.
Saucye, if you could only put on one item of makeup tomorrow, one product, what would it be?
Highlighter. Highlight. Because I think that, when I'm not wearing any makeup, and like I just like did my skincare routine, and like I'm all moisturized and dewy and everything, I think I love my skin the way it looks at that point, and just putting on like a nice like liquid highlighter on top of just my regular skin. It's like money. It's like I don't need all of this. Just give me my nice, clean, moisturized skin, and I can dab on some highlighter, and like all the points where the sun naturally is gonna be like hit me. You go outside. That's all you need. Highlight. The glow is important.
Well, thanks to all of you who are still with us. And Saucye is going to get her lashes on, and we're going to wrap up here. So if you have any last questions, go ahead and post that in the chat, and I'll read it out to Saucye while she's putting on the last of her eyes. And then, Saucye, do you have a mask that you're going to show us with that when you're done?
I do.
So we'll end with Saucye showing off her very special mask made by another fat positive designer who we really love. In the meantime, if anybody wants to ask one more question, go ahead and put that in the chat. Oh, sorry, Broderick. I thought she lost that one when I thought she answered that one when I lost connection for a minute. So Saucye, there was a question earlier. I think it may have been when Blythe was talking to you. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on plus-size dating websites like Woo Plus and BBW Cupid? Would you advise fellow fat women to use or avoid these services?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm like, I didn't know about BBW Cupid.
Okay. I think that we all should proceed with caution when it comes to stuff like that. You know, if someone genuinely has a preference, it's a difference between a preference and a fetish. And again, if you're down with that, that's what you do, then that's what you do. But if you want someone who's genuinely going to, you know, has a preference on what they like, and you know, I think that we know, like we know those red flags when we talk to people. So when you go on dating sites in general, any dating site, I think that, you know, when you're in a fat body, you just need to be very careful, proceed with caution, ask the right questions, and you know your deservability. Like, you deserve love. So if you go on any of those sites and you are looking for love and you know you deserve love, then you know that whatever person that is going to give you that. So I feel like, you know, we should all protect ourselves. We always have to protect ourselves and our fatness, especially when it comes to dating and just being vulnerable like that for people. Because getting to know somebody is very vulnerable, and you just don't want to, you know, run into someone that's just an asswipe. You know what I'm saying? So go explore. Don't be afraid. And you know, like I said, know your red flags. Ask the right questions, and go into it like, I deserve love, no matter what. So do your thing. Go on the dating site. Okay, so I have my beautiful mask here I got from Yvette Swank. Her company is called Swankity Swank. She's the owner, operator, creator. So when the shutdown began, Yvette was advertising that she was making masks, and the masks were just these regular black masks. They're made out of hemp cotton, and so super sustainable. And you know, I'm extra, so I had inboxed her, and I was like, Yvette, can you make me a mask and put some like hemp lace on it or something? Like, you know, make it glam. And she was like, yeah, sure. So she had made me and Blythe one, and when I posted the picture of it, and she was like, Saucye, something told me that I should have brought more fabric, because she got like this influx of orders for these glam masks. So, you know, Yvette is amazing. You know, she is doing this by herself at her sewing machine every day. And, you know, these masks are super comfortable. They're they're a statement. Like every time I wear it out, everyone always asks me where I got it from. And how you sanitize it is you leave it out in the sun, and it sanitizes. That's how it gets sanitized. So it's super amazing. And I'm gonna slip it on my head.
And Yabette was featured in our 50th anniversary fashion show last year for NAAFA, and is also was featured in our NAAFA newsletter as one of our, we've been doing a series of features on plus-size designers who are committed to, we've been doing a series of features on fat community designers, which is not necessarily the same as plus-size designers, but people who are actually engaged with fat community, fat politics, fat liberation thinking, not just getting plus-size dollars. And so we featured Yabette in that. It's Yabette Swank, Swankity Swank Fashions. You can see that feature story on her in our newsletter. I think it was maybe our December newsletter of last year, and our newsletters are archived on NAAFA.org.
I'm going to flip this on. And that's how you can make it fashion.
Ta-da!
And it's super comfortable.
And Yvette is super committed to sustainable fashion. So thinking about using sustainable products like hemp as much as possible, or using vintage products so that they are not, you know, there's not new fabric manufacturing happening for them. So definitely check out Yvette. And of course, you can see Saucye in this mask and in many, many other looks on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. And I think that we are going to end there. It looks like we maybe froze up on Saucye again. So I'm just going to leave you with our thanks for your patience, and we will have some kind of documentation of this conversation or interview with Saucye available on our NAAFA resources later. If there's anything you want to revisit, or if there are other people that you want to recommend it to, it will be less fraught with technical difficulties, so that it's a smoother view or listen for anybody who wants to tune in. Saucye, thank you for your time and your energy today, and we look forward to seeing what's next from you. Don't forget, if you want to do more makeup with Saucye, you can watch for her Beauty in Quarantine web Fat Chat series on Zoom, and those are usually happening on Sundays at noon Pacific time. And but you can see any updates to the schedule or anything like that by following Saucye on Instagram. Thank you, NAAFA board, in particular our board chair Darlene, who was taking the lead in trying to troubleshoot some of these technical difficulties so that we could go on. And just a reminder that if you follow NAAFA on YouTube, you'll find our videos under NAAFA_videos on YouTube. We have uploaded several of our NAAFA webinars from the past, and we are working on some webinar transcription so that folks who need that tool will have that available to them soon. So you'll be seeing some of that material coming out soon. Also, beginning on June 1st, we will open applications for positions on the NAAFA board. So if you have interest in leadership in NAAFA, please do check out our website for more information about that. Thank you so much for your time, your patience, your energy, everyone. If you, Darlene, if you would like to unmute people's microphones in case anybody wants to say goodbye out loud, and you're all welcome to turn on your cameras if you would like us to see you before we sign off. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Saucye. You're gorgeous as always.
Thank you, guys. It was fun. Thank you guys for dealing with all of the tech stuff going on. Had a good time.
So did we.
All right.
Yes, thank
Be
you.
safe. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
You too.